Okay, hi guys, it's Coloring with Haley once again. I have tried to record this video 4 different times. This is supposed to be a part 2 to all of my completed coloring pages, and if you can hear some noise in the background, it's just the rain. It wasn't raining earlier when I tried to record this, but the camera was messed up and I had to figure out what was wrong with it. The first book I have here is Quirkle's Animals by Thomas Pivett. This is technically, I would call it a color by number book, but I forgot about it with my other color by number books because I can't keep it on the shelf. It's a very big book. I'll compare it to this Jade Summer book really quick. You can see that it's a huge book, so it won't fit on my shelf. Here's the first picture I colored out of it, and you might notice that this doesn't exactly look right, and that is because I did it wrong. I accidentally inverted the colors. So where it's really light here, it should be black. And where it's black, it should be this really light color. I think that number 3 is correct, but the rest of them are kind of reversed. So here's what this is actually supposed to look like. There you go. That's what a Quirkle, I guess, looks like when they're done correctly. Next, I have my original Chibi Girls Grayscale. This is just book 1, it's not the combination. I kept it just to look back and see what I had done previously. I think I mainly used Spectrum Noir markers in this because it was all I had at the time. And I didn't actually have glitter pens, they were just metallic. So these butterflies and stuff are just metallic, they don't glitter. So having glitter pens now definitely looks a lot better. And I know I colored a few images in this. I didn't have it for very long though before the other part came out. I did this pop star girl, and I think this picture turned out fine. I did this, and I did this one in the other book too, just to kind of see how my skills had evolved over time, and I actually think I wound up doing maybe the same color for the hair and the poodle, but that was not my intentions. I did this little cheerleader girl. And I don't really know sports teams that well, so I asked my partner, and I think this might be the color of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. I just told him to give me a sports team to pick a color scheme from because I didn't know any. Next I have Llewellyn's Witches, at least I think that's how you pronounce her name. And this is a book with 6 different artists in it. And I've colored a few pictures out here. And I've used pencil in them. That's something that I don't really do that often. Here we go. Here's the first one. And I did color one in here this month, but you'll see that in my completed pages. Here's the next one. You might notice the theme that I've kind of colored all of the pages from a particular artist. And here's the last one with the chickens. And I think this turned out good. This is Prismacolor, I think. Yeah, it feels like it because it's super waxy. And the artist for those images is Kathleen Edwards. Next I have Mythographic Animals by Joseph Cadenbang. And I've colored one image out of here. I don't know if I like this book or not. But I did this jellyfish, and I did it with pencils, and then again, metallic gel pen because I didn't have glittery ones at the time for all the little trinkets that are in the image, and this turned out okay. I tend to put a lot of pressure down when I use pencil. Sometimes it rubs off the image on the back, but it didn't with this book. Next is going to be the Coloring Haven books I've colored out of. And I haven't colored out of most of them. I kind of need to get around to that. This is from the Fairies special, by the way, with Jana Prosvirna's designs. I did number 3, Moon Music, and I tried to do a background with watercolor. It turned out okay. The fairy itself and the moon that I did in glitter looks fine to me. The background is okay. Next I have the Halloween special. I think this is 2018's Halloween one. This had the images from Inés Guerrero, I believe is how you pronounce their name, and I did this one. I really like their art. So, of course, I have colored in their edition. Hang on just a second. I need to get Dark Fantasy out. There we go. Okay, and I did a picture in the Gothic Alchemy special. I like grayscale, but the grayscale in here is really, really dark. I don't know how I feel about it. I challenged myself to do a picture, though. And, I think it turned out okay. I used glitter for the pearls. I found the hair really difficult to do with a marker. Maybe if I did this again, I would perhaps use a pencil for, like, the tiny little singular strands of hair. And here's the Dark Fantasy special with Inés Guerrero. So, I did this picture here, titled Alone. And I did this with marker, but I shaded some with pencil, and I believe I used polychromos for this one. Some of these images kind of have some grayscale on them, and some of them don't. I guess if you have this book, then you know. I also did the Kraken. I think this picture turned out really, really good. I really like how everything turned out here. I think that's it for that edition. I also have the other Halloween special, and now I believe this one is the 2019 special. And I did one of these grayscale girls at the back. There we go. Something happened with my marker here. As you can see, there's like a square of, I don't know, very light color. Like, I don't know if there was something on the paper, perhaps, and the marker reacted to that, like the way it was printed, but it formed like a perfect rectangle there. Let me get these out of the way. Next, I have this little coloring book. It's Just Add Color, Day of the Dead by Sarah Walsh. I think that this book is now out of print, but I'm not positive. And I did this little bird, and I do have this here because this is with a marker and Prismacolor pencils, and the wax has a tendency to rub off onto the other pages. So I do keep a piece of wax on it just to be safe. Now I have Vogue Coloring A to Z, and I don't know the artist, but it's published by this Knopf company. And this is a double-sided book, and you already know that I don't like double-sided books, but I tried to use just some watercolors in it, and I don't think it turned out too bad. This is M is for Moon, and this is an actual cover of an actual Vogue magazine, and I'll tell you what it is, if I can find it. It's George Wolfe Planck, November 15th, 1917. Next, I have another image from Dragons by Christy Schaefer. This is a Dover coloring book. And this is one of those rare images that I have entirely in pencil. And it is this dragon. And it says this is a drake. I used Prismacolor pencils on this, I believe. I might have used polychromos for certain aspects of this, but I'm positive that it's... I'm almost positive that it's just Prismacolor. But you can see what I mean by... I press down really hard when I color because you can kind of see this texture coming through on the other page. And that's because I press down way too hard with pencil. I'm really heavy-handed, so I don't use pencil that often. But I'm very proud of how this picture turned out. And finally, we have Outside the Lines, created by Sores Hong Poretta, I believe is how you would pronounce this author's name. And this features a ton of different images by a ton of different artists, and I've colored a lot in here because I would like to one day complete this book. So, the very first picture here. This was done using Bic markers because it was like one of the first pictures that I ever colored. And this I know for a fact is a Keith Haring image. In fact, it's untitled, the Keith Haring. I did this picture. I think I used Cali art markers on this one. There's a lot of pictures similar to this where it's the alphabet with some different things going on. And this alphabet image is called A, B, C, D, E, F, G through Z by Deanne Chuck. Next I did this simple little image with the spray can. It says obey and it says make art not war, Mr. Spray. And that's called Mr. Spray by Shepard Fairey. I did this bizarre picture. It sort of looks like there was an artist here. Maybe the artist is a dog because there's paws and then everything just exploded. And that picture is called The Artist at Work in Pieces by Yogi Proctor. Now, I was doing everything in order and then I quit. So, now I have this, which kind of looks like graffiti. It says Risk. And I did this with Spectrum Noir markers. And this is Risk Sketch by Kelly Gravel, aka Risk. Let me find some more. Here we go. I did these two mushroom girls with the birds. This was also one I colored pretty early on, so this would have had to have been Bic, maybe with a little bit of Spectrum Noir. And the picture is Forest Friends by Amy Ross. Here's another alphabet picture that I was talking about. I tried to do this one kind of like in a gradient. I think it turned out pretty okay. This alphabet is New Alphabets by Kieta Takashi. Alright. So, we have this picture, and it's very scratchy, as you can see. I tried to color it with Stabilo pins when I was first into coloring, because I didn't quite understand that the Stabilo fine liners aren't really made for coloring large spaces, and they'll turn the image scratchy. It worked fine coloring her chords, but not so much the rest of her. But this image is For You, For Me by Jen Yang. I have this simple one. This was done with Spectrum Noir. It says, can we all get along? And at first I thought this was an ocean, but I realized that it's a bunch of smiley faces. Like, those are eyes. And it's a smile. Those are eyes. It's a smile. And I believe this image is titled Rodney King's Message by Ryan Junell. Here I have this fun image. This is all the animals in the ark, but the ark has wheels. And there's like a smiley face back there wearing sunglasses. I don't know. It's supposed to be Joseph or something? I don't know. But this is untitled Quit Your Belligerence and Hop In by Kelly D. Williams. And then I did this somewhat trippy image, and I used Spectrum Noir markers and Bic markers on this one. I'm not really sure what's going on here. There's little animals on wheels. There's like a portal and an upside down rainbow. This is a fun one, and it's called Coloring Book Dan by Carol S. So I guess maybe that's Dan. I did this picture with the light bulb and what I am going to say is some melting ice cream, but I'm not really sure. There's also these little guys everywhere. And this image is called Ice Bulb by Min Cha. I did this hand, and this image is called Keep It Weird. Well, that's what it says. The image is actually called The Shaka by Justin Kretmeyer, I believe is how you would pronounce his name. Okay, this image has some nudity in it, so I'm going to cover that up with my finger because I don't want to offend anyone. This woman is not wearing a bra. And that image is called Sombra by Herbert Bagalone. I really love this picture. This picture looks like it would be like in Vogue or something, and I used Spectrum Noir markers on this. I think that's what I mainly use in the entirety of this book. And this picture is called Girls by Adrienne Nyman. I did this simple little picture. I guess if you were more artistically inclined than me, then you could actually draw something here on the paper, but I can't draw. So I just colored the pencils. And this is called Coloring Page by Max Erdenbanger. Yes, there are still more. Okay, here's this tiger. I love this image. It was one of the first ones I colored out of this book after the Keith Haring picture. It's just very simple. I did it with black markers, and it just turned out really, really well. And this is called Tiger by Tyler Gibney. Next, I did this picture of the alligator and the possum and this little bee. I think it's a cute image. If this artist released a coloring book in this style, I would definitely buy it. And this is Gators Gang by Sally O. Next I have this robot, alien type cyborg thing, and I used just Bic markers because the lines are really small and thin, and I used the fine liners to get in there. And this image is called You Are Heaven Sent by Kinji Harada. I did this fun one. This one's a hot dog surfing on a soda with a bunch of little hot dogs and sodas behind it. This was really fun to do. I tried to alternate the colors of the hot dogs. I think it turned out good. And this image is Hot Dog Surf Party by Lacey McAuliffe. This is the only Mandala I've ever colored and ever will color. This super cute one with all these little puppies and flowers, and there's a caterpillar here, a ladybug and a butterfly. And this is Moody's Mood for Love by San Kim. I know there's more in here. There we go. I did the skateboarder and the scooter. A simple image, and it's titled Ollie by Tobin Yelland. And I may not be pronouncing all of these names right, and not all of these artists have coloring books or anything. Some of them just contributed to this book. Here's another trippy and somewhat explicit image. This book's definitely not for kids. I think these are supposed to be maybe aliens. And there's like a witch there, because there's the nose and the mouth and the hands and the hair, I think. And this image is Human Fly by Joseph Arioli. I did this little pizza and cake dog. I thought this was a super cute picture. And it's called Pizza Face by O'Hara Hale. I did this image of the sailor fighting the Kraken, and he's like part mermaid. He's on the missing bottle there, so maybe he's taken to sea life. And this picture is called East River Tattoo by Duke Riley, so that artist might be a tattoo artist, and that's the tattoo that you can get from him. I did this picture. There's a lot going on. Again, this one looks like graffiti, but there's a man back here, and there's hands here because you can see fingers, and then there's a face there. And then just a lot's going on in these images, like this looks like a boardwalk and a rattlesnake tail. And this is called Brainology by Mambo. I did this little, like, what do you call this? Oh, I can't think of it now. Like a little cluster of sketched people. And some of them are all thinking about this little, like, alien guy. Don't know what's going on here. But this is Underwhelmed Posse by Stephen Nero. I did this image. This image I really love because it reminds me of the old kids' coloring books, back when they used to be printed on that newspaper type. This just looks like that printing to me. But it's not. It's actual, you know, it's nice paper. It's not the newspaper. But I was just really drawn to this image because it reminded me of, like, the coloring books from when I was a kid. And this is like a dog or cat surfing, and there's some dolphins, and he's got a guitar, but the guitar is a giraffe. And there are some very sketchy things in the background, but I decided to leave those gray, and I think it works out for the image. And this image is called Rude by Yuri Shimojo. If that person made a book, I would definitely get it. Next, I have this picture here that says Smooth Ride, and it's a bunch of little cars. Some of the cars' bumpers are metallic. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but some of them do have metallic bumpers and metallic lights. This picture is called Smooth Ride by Katsu Design. Next, I have this big bird that is also a button. I used Spectrum Noir markers on here, and I think I used the chisel tip because this is such a big image. This picture is called Bird by Naomi Kazama. This is one of the most recent ones I did. I tried to do, you know, each color is here twice, but kind of inverted. It's another alphabet image. It's called Skate Ramp Alphabet by Steve McDonald. Then we have this. I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be. Just a sketch or something. You know, it's up to you to interpret this however you want. It could be whatever you want it to be. But I just did it in rainbow colors. The artist calls it Ricefield Redo, and the artist is Anthony Castro. Next, I did this image here with this girl who is thinking about all kinds of different things. She's thinking about this fish birthday cake, the pyramids, Halloween, flowers, this unicorn dog. And this picture is Things I Think About Too Much by Claire Crespo. I did this picture. There's a party in my head and no one is invited. And it's by David J. Westberg, and that's the name of it. There's a party in my head and no one's invited. I did this picture again. It's another picture where I'm not really sure what's going on. To me, it seems like there's eyes and ears and the shape of a head here, so someone's face. But then, you know, instead of a nose, there's these clouds, and then there's an arrow. But it's also this, like, I don't know, crocodile thing here. And then there's this person here coming out of a pyramid. But this image is titled Radio by Tessar Lowe. I did this picture of this girl playing the guitar, and I really liked how this turned out too. I think it turned out pretty good. And it's called Instinct from Talent by Edwin Ushio. I love this picture, red and blue, of these two young boys. Of course, I gave one blue hair and one red hair. And this is called Red and Blue by Dan Hards. Then I did this one again. This is another simple image. It's just some pictures that the artist has drawn on paper, and then I colored them in, and it's called Flat Summit by Jessie Ledoux. I did these little funky ice cream monster things. And this is Friends by Buff Monster. I did this picture here of like a crocodile and a dragon and a monkey. I didn't feel like making a sky, so I just didn't color in a sky for this one. But this was Creatures by Terry Cohen. Here's this picture. It's like Hello Kitty, but she's got a gun, and she's practicing mushrooms. I don't know, some of the pictures in this book are kind of weird. But it is called She is a Natural by Aiko. I guess that's how you pronounce that. I did this awesome picture here, which kind of looks like it's stained glass. There's a lot going on. There's a little turtle down here. There's this little guy, and there's a cat sleeping. There's a princess in the castle. There's the snake and a bird. Person reading a book, and they're thinking about something. And of course the tree is all alive. It's a fun picture. And it is Storytime by Souther Salazar. Now, I had to do this picture right away. I love Gary Baseman. I don't know how... I think some of you are maybe a little bit too old for this TV show. But there was a TV show on, I want to say Nickelodeon, called Teacher's Pet. And then there's a bunch of board games called Cranium. And that's all Gary Baseman's art and his characters. And I love his artwork, and I love his weird characters. And this is Dance of Disciples by Gary Baseman. And I believe that is the last picture that I colored in here. So that ends my completed pages of all time video. Thank you so much for watching.